Hello and welcome to GameSack. The Nintendo DS was an absolute juggernaut, selling over 154 million units. Now, I usually prefer consoles over portables, but man, I went all in on the DS. I loved it. I bought a ton of games. So let's talk about the games. But first, let's check out the DS itself. The Nintendo DS. The DS was released first in North America in November of 2004 and the next month in Japan. It came to other parts of the world in 2005. The DS provides a dual-screen vertically oriented setup, with the bottom being a resistive touchscreen which is best used with the included stylus. There's also a microphone near the bottom screen. On the DS Lite and the DSi models, the microphone was moved to the hinge between the screens. The DS features two 32-bit ARM CPUs and 4 megabytes of RAM. The DSi model doubled the CPU speed and quadrupled the RAM. Both screens have a resolution of 256 pixels wide by 192 pixels tall. There are stereo speakers built in as well as a headphone jack. The games come on thin carts that seemed very small at the time, but today seem slightly big compared to common SD cards. Lastly, the DS was backwards compatible with Game Boy Advance cartridges, as it has a slot on the bottom specifically for them. Counting digital-only releases on the DSi, there were a total of 3,468 games released on the platform. I remember on launch day I went into Best Buy for some reason I don't remember, but they had a table set up near the front of the store that they were selling the DS, and I didn't plan on getting one, but I did, and I love that. Now that DS I bought that day it broke like maybe 2 years later, so I ended up getting the DS Lite, which I absolutely love. It's way superior than the original launch unit in my opinion. However, for this episode, I had to borrow this original DS from My Life in Gaming, which has been modified for video out, basically. So every game you see being played in this episode is being played on this DS right here. So let's check out those games. The first game on deck today is Metroid Prime Hunters from Nintendo. A demo of this game came with the DS I bought on launch day called First Look, and I loved the controls. I was having so much fun that I had to buy the full game when it eventually came out. You look around with the stylus and move with the D-pad and shoot with the left shoulder button. Various other functions are on the touchscreen, and you also double tap it to jump. I've heard that a lot of people didn't care much for this one, but I certainly wasn't one of those people. It's a good game for sure, and I am enjoying playing it again for this video, but apparently it's not amazing because, according to my save file, I never bothered to finish it. It didn't hugely grip me, I guess. If you like mazes, and video gamers love mazes, this game has plenty of large clusters of corridors and the like to get lost in. Now that I look back at it from my perspective here in the future, the looking and the aiming with the stylus feels pretty slippery. It's still quite playable though. As someone who gamed only on consoles, I felt the freedom to look around with the stylus was pretty awesome. Maybe it's the people who played first-person games with a mouse who didn't care much for this one. I can honestly see how the stylus would be a step back. You do get various fun Metroid Prime activities to do, like scanning things. Overall, this certainly isn't a bad game, but it's not as good as the GameCube Metroid Prime games, that's for sure. Even though I never finished it, I certainly don't regret owning it. This is Feel the Magic from Sega. This was a launch game and the very first title I bought for my DS. It's basically just a bunch of minigames for the touchscreen. Basically, you're trying to impress a girl and you have to do all sorts of wacky crap. The first thing that happens is that some guy accidentally swallows a goldfish. Oh no! Now you need to rub them out of his stomach. I guess they multiplied while they were in there. You have to clear at least 3 stages before you move on to the next minigame. There's lots of fun and very Sega stuff to do in here, like remove scorpions that are crawling on the girl's back, or maybe zamp a stampede of bulls that are running at you. According to the game, touching the bulls calms them down. That's right, raging bulls love to be touched. Sometimes it's pretty mundane, like typing numbers to open parachutes. Other times you'll even need to blow on the screen. This blew our minds back in 2004. I really liked this game a lot when it came out, mainly because the touchscreen was a new and novel concept in gaming back then. These days, I don't enjoy it quite as much, and I find that the music can get kind of annoying. When I first started making this episode, I was trying to play these games via an emulator. A lot of these minigames I just couldn't do as well with my mouse. I'm super happy that I was able to borrow this DS from My Life in Gaming, as I can actually play the game properly and make it further to show you more of pretty much any game in this episode.
Right! Right!
About a year and a half later, Sega released the Rub Rabbits, which is a sequel to Feel the Magic. Basically, it's more of the same, just like you'd expect. There are a few returning minigames and a bunch of new ones for you to conquer to win the love of a girl. Your personality is too shallow for her to care about you otherwise. In this one, you'll sometimes have to hold your DS sideways to play. This adds a new twist, I suppose. Occasionally, you'll even need to hold it upside down. Other than that, I didn't feel that the minigames in this one were as fun or as insane as the first game, but the good news is that the music is less annoying. Both of these games are worth trying if you like using the touchscreen.
Break time.
You know Nintendo, they love their casual games that appeal to everyone, young and old. But is this next one even a game? Here's Nintendogs from Nintendo, hell yeah! Basically, there are different versions of the game which feature different kinds of dogs in an attempt to get you to buy multiple copies of the same game. Believe me, Nintendo knows that we need to catch them all. We are very stupid that way. Anyway, there's not much of a game here, but this title was still kind of a big deal in its time for how casual it was. You can own up to 3 dogs at once, and they're always puppies. You can feed them, give them water or milk, and play with them. Sometimes they get dirty, and they even get fleas. You can brush them in order to clean them, but sometimes that's not enough. That's right, you can shampoo your dogs, and they love it. You can also teach them to recognize your voice.
Hey asswipe, you're on game set.
You can even enter them into contests like this frisbee throwing competition, which is kinda sorta fun. Your dogs will bond with you the more you pay attention to them over time. Okay, I've gotta be honest here, I haven't powered this game up for nearly 20 years. Hundreds of thousands of real-life dogs have been born, lived a great life, and then died since I last powered this one on. I expected to see 3 small piles of bones when I booted the game up, but no. They were just a little hungry and thirsty. You can even meet other owners of the game Street Pass style. Well, not really Street Pass style, but close. You can also take the dogs for a walk, but it wouldn't let me. It kept telling me that I had just taken them for a walk. Yeah, they haven't been walked for 20 years. I think they might need to pee. Okay, doggies, time for me to go away for another 20 to 30 years. Bye. Here's Sonic Rush from Sega. You just knew that Sonic had to show up on the DS, and he did, with his own games exclusive to the portable. Basically, it's a Sonic game, but now you have a meter where you can build up boost, which can be fired with the X button. Other than that, it's just run around, collect rings, and maybe kill an enemy here and there. This one utilizes both screens simultaneously, and there's a blind spot between the screens, which is pretty awesome. And by pretty awesome, I mean the complete opposite of awesome. It could be worse though. The graphics are nice, but tough to see on the small dim screen of the original DS that I'm playing on here. I think perhaps the biggest standout feature is the music, which is unlike any Sonic game that came before it or any Sonic game since. I don't mean that to say that it's the best music in a Sonic game ever, but it's certainly unique. Overall, it's a decent Sonic game, I guess, if that's what you're after. There's also a Sonic Rush 2, but I don't own that one, so I can't show it to you today. Here's one that most people probably don't know about. The Legend of Kag 2 from Square Enix of all people. You remember the original Legend of Kag arcade game from Taito, right? Of course you do. It's stupid of me to even ask. Everyone knows about Legend of Kag, unless of course they don't. Well, it actually got a sequel, and here it is on the DS. The premise is similar. A girl is kidnapped and you need to rescue her. Only this time you're accompanied by lots and lots of dialogue text. It doesn't bog the game down though, as it takes place between the stages and it can be skipped if you like. You can jump, throw shurikens, and slash with your sword. Soon, you'll be able to create ninja magic with orbs, which can do many different things depending on how you arrange them. You'll also gain more powers, like being able to summon echo images of yourself, just like Ninja Spirit. I like this a lot. The gameplay takes place entirely on the bottom screen, with the top screen just showing what's going on above you. It can reveal enemies and items that are hidden above and whatnot, but you never really have to worry about things being hidden in the blind spot in this game. I appreciate that. I recall that this one was super cheap brand new back in the day, like 10 bucks or less. Probably because nobody knew about it and nobody bought it. But honestly, it's pretty good overall. I recommend checking it out if you can. Another ninja game is Ninja Gaiden Dragon Sword from Tecmo. This one's a bit different as you hold a DS sideways like a book. Generally, the map lives on the left-hand screen as you make your way through the game, but the story segments will utilize both screens for a wider view of the graphics. The control is also unusual. You tap the touch screen to hold where you want to go. To attack, you basically just swipe all over the screen with wild abandon, but there are specific swipes to do specific moves. You block by holding the D-pad. You can use various ninja magic by tapping an icon and quickly filling up the symbol, and oftentimes even direct the resulting magic around on screen to crush enemies or burn spider webs. Like I said, the control is unusual, but you do kind of get used to it. Story-wise, a girl is kidnapped and you need to rescue her. You will be fighting a lot of enemies here. Like the other games in the series at the time, you'll often be stuck in an area until you defeat all of the bad guys. Get ready though, because they keep appearing out of thin air again and again. It can get a bit annoying, but I guess it helps make finishing a stage feel satisfying. The general vibe of the game is exactly like the Xbox Ninja Gaiden games with similar music and presentation. There's lots of hacking and slashing, but there is far less blood and gore here. Honestly, I didn't even notice that it was missing until I thought about it later. The characters are all polygonal, but the backgrounds you move on are 2D. My only real complaint, and it's a minor one, is that occasionally all of the sound effects will be hard panned left or right. This really is a cool take on the series, and I think that Ninja Gaiden fans should give it a try if they haven't. Since this is a Nintendo system, it's no surprise that there's a Mario game. This one is New Super Mario Bros. That's right, this one replaces that old crusty version, and it's still the de facto Super Mario Bros. Game until newer Super Mario Bros. Comes out. Still waiting on that one. A girl is kidnapped and you need to rescue her. And what can I say, it's Super Mario. But some new things have been added, hence the title. Like a giant mushroom, which lets you wreak havoc on your enemies and the environment by crashing through everything and anything without any regard to life. I hope that no critters called any of this their home, because it's oblivion now. You can also do the butt smash from the Nintendo 64 game, and even slide down hills on your ass. The game plays entirely on the top screen. The only thing going on down below is a map of your progress, the coins you've collected, and an item. What does the item do? Well, if you collect an extra flower or mushroom, you can touch it like an extra button to release it if you want. It can indeed come in handy. The graphics are bright and cheery with stupendous color, and even the music has been updated with occasional voices singing along. This is great if you want a proper 2D Mario on the go. And you don't want to play old Super Mario Bros., do you? Ugh. Another Mario game is Mario Kart DS, or Mario Kart 5 if you prefer, but no one does. Believe it or not, this one ended up being one of my favorite Mario Kart games of all time. It would definitely be towards the top if I were to rank them all. I played the hell out of it, but make no mistake, it's still super fun today. I mean, is there a Mario Kart game that isn't? As you know, Mario Kart is a racing game where skill isn't always the deciding factor in a race. A lot of it can depend on luck. If you fall behind, you tend to get better items and stand a good chance to regain a good position. Also, you better be sure that you launch properly at the starting line because everyone else sure as hell will, at least in the single player mode. This one featured online gameplay for up to 4 players, but that's been discontinued and you and 3 of your friends can go straight to hell. Unless of course you're all in the same room, then it works. And it's going to be way better with everyone there in person anyway. The graphics and the audio are exactly what you'd expect. Once again, the game plays entirely on the top screen. The bottom screen is used for an overhead map, which honestly can be a bit helpful sometimes, especially since it shows items coming your way, which gives you a chance to avoid them. Like I said, I played this a ton back then, and that's probably because it's super fun. I'd say that this one is absolutely a must-own for anyone that has themselves a Nintendo DS. This next one is a game from one of my favorite series, even though I only truly love maybe a few games in it. Next, we have Super Monkey Ball Touch and Roll from Sega. Of course, anytime there's a weird new way to control your games, it's the duty of a new Super Monkey Ball title to attempt to use it. Here, you use the stylus on the bottom screen to aim your monkey where you want him or her to go. It works okay for basic levels, but you need to slide the stylus pretty far one way or another to make much of a difference, and it can kind of feel like it's imprecise and slippery. Still better than a Wii Remote or Wii Balance Board though. Since there is so much range of motion on the bottom screen, the controls are actually quite precise, but you don't really feel that in the heat of the game as it's easy to overcorrect. Plus, you have a timer, so you don't have the luxury of taking your time. As a Monkey Ball game, there are some new levels, but a lot of them have been taken from the older games. It also loses the announcer voice, which kind of brings the energy level down a bit. The graphics are pretty good, all things considered. The music is generally not good, though there are a couple of decent tunes in some worlds. I bought it because I had to since I'm a huge Monkey Ball fanatic, but otherwise I can't recommend this version unless you find it super cheap. This is Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney from Capcom. This series technically got its start on the Game Boy Advance in Japan, but we didn't see the series here in English until the DS right here. The game is basically a digital comic or visual novel or whatever you want to call it. It also has some point-and-click elements to it. You play as a defense attorney trying to prove that your client didn't do the crime, which is always murder! You get to search for clues and collect evidence yourself and interact with a ton of different characters. The cases always go to court within days of the crime. Gotta love that swift justice. The courtroom has fun battles with lots of twists and turns. I ended up loving the hell out of this game and this series. It feels so perfect on the DS. I also love the art style and the music couldn't be better. The bottom screen is used mainly to handle evidence, select questions, or advance the text. But all of these things can be done without touching the screen if you prefer. You have 5 cases to solve, though the first one is super short. I'm sure that more than a few people might have some issues with the constant flashes or screen shaking that happens pretty much all the time, but I love it. Objection! Soon, Capcom followed up with Ace Attorney Justice for All. 4 new murder cases here, and the gameplay is exactly the same and it adds more characters, so I had to get it. Plenty of great times to be had with this one as well. I mean, if you like this sort of thing, which lots of people do. Objection! Then came Ace Attorney Trials and Tribulations. 5 new cases here. In this one, you get to play as Phoenix Wright's old boss Mia for a couple of cases to change things up a bit. You even get to defend Phoenix before he became an attorney. I like how they added a lot to the story here. Once again, it plays the same, and I thought it was super fun, and I still do. Then we got Ace Attorney, Apollo Justice. This one takes place several years in the future, and you play as a new attorney, Apollo Justice. The game now renders some of the cutscenes with video, and the music has all been redone. The basic gameplay is pretty much the same. An older Phoenix is there to help you out here and there though. I didn't like this one as much mainly because the cast of characters wasn't as interesting. Apollo Justice just isn't very memorable as the main protagonist, even though he has some of the same types of reactions to things as Phoenix did. It's still a good game though, and it was still quite worth my time. The last of these games to be released on the DS, at least outside of Japan, is Ace Attorney Investigations, Miles Edgeworth. In this one, you play as the titular Miles Edgeworth.
Did you just say tits?
He's the prosecutor who's been Phoenix Wright's rival going all the way back to the very first game. The gameplay feels the same, yet almost entirely different at the same time. You now physically move around as you collect evidence and investigate a scene. You also need to use logic to figure things out and deduce what happened. Just like Spock! You eventually enter rebuttal phases to argue with the characters using what you've deduced so far. You don't actually go to court in this game, at least not that I can recall sitting here 15 years later. I didn't have time to play through the entire game again for this review, sorry. You've got 5 scenarios in this one and they all tie together, though as you can imagine, the story is pretty wacky, just like it is in all of these games. That's a compliment, by the way. I appreciate the new take on the series and it's still a great game, but it does kind of get repetitive and even annoying at times. This is Hotel Dusk, Room 215 from Nintendo and Sing. This is another detective game and also another one where you hold the DS like an open book. You play as Kyle Hyde, an ex-cop who faced some trauma and retired from the force. Now you're a salesman and you arrive at Hotel Dusk here in 1979. You soon find out that there are things going on, strange things. Now you need to use your skills to solve the mystery. It's basically a point-and-click adventure. You tap things to interact with them and to examine them. You can even write yourself notes so that you don't forget something. Good thing too, because it's definitely easy to forget this. You guide yourself around the 3D hotel using the stylus on the overhead map. This can feel a bit clumsy, and it is, but the game isn't rushing you, so it gets the job done. As a game, it's much slower paced than the likes of the Phoenix Wright titles, and it works here. The characters are generally long-winded, which wouldn't be so bad if the text were faster. You can speed it up, but not by much. Characters in video games love being long-winded. What's up with that anyway? No one knows when to shut the hell up. They always have more to say. Oh well, the characters are generally pretty good, and you want to hear what they say, so it's nowhere near as bad as I'm making it out to be. This has a visual look very reminiscent of the animation in the Take On Me video by Aha. But it also has its own unique look on top of that, such as the characters looking like they've been cut out from a piece of paper and placed on top of the background. I chose this look for the current opening that I made for GameSack because I love it so much. I can't think of any other game that features a visual style like this. I enjoyed my time with this one, and it looks like it took me about 20 hours to finish, judging by my save files. Years later, we got Last Window, The Secret of Cape West. Well, Japan and Europe did. It didn't come out here in North America. Maybe 12 years ago, I'm guessing, I bought the import at Gameforce Boulder, but I've never played it until right now. It takes place 1 year after Hotel Dusk, and once again, you're playing as Kyle Hyde. From what I've played so far, it's more of the same, maybe with some very small changes with how you interact with characters sometimes. I find it a bit more interesting, maybe because I've never been through it before. Some weird stuff starts to happen after a bit, so you know this is going to be another good one. Wikipedia states that this one wasn't released in North America because developer Sing filed for bankruptcy. But that doesn't make any sense to me because Nintendo handled the publishing themselves on both of these games. It was done and ready to go. It's even full of American English. Well, actually maybe not. They do say the term answer phone instead of answering machine. But who cares? Make Americans read British English for once in their lives. It would be better than not getting this game at all. But honestly, I'm guessing that the original game didn't sell well enough for Nintendo to consider releasing it here, which is too bad. Here's an interesting one called Henry Hatsworth in the Puzzling Adventure from Electronic Arts. This one was lent to me from My Life in Gaming along with the DS. It's half platformer, half puzzle game. Now, I usually don't care for puzzle games, but this is still an interesting concept. At its heart, it's a platformer and you have a small arsenal of moves to make it through the areas. When you kill an enemy, he goes to the bottom screen and becomes part of the puzzle, which is constantly rising. By pressing X, you switch to the bottom screen to play the puzzle game to destroy the enemy. If you don't do it before he rises off the top of the bottom screen, he'll try to smash you again and again in the platform section. You can also get various power and life ups by playing the puzzle screen. The main problem with this is that you can only play the puzzle mode for as long as you have juice left in the small meter on the left. Often, I get kicked out of the puzzle and back to the platform game right before I can do anything. As a platform game, it's good, and as a puzzle game, it's also good, but it's kind of annoying having to constantly switch back and forth. I don't feel that it really works out well. I think it would have been better had they focused a bit less on the puzzle element. But hey, the music is pretty good. Controlling games with the stylus is gimmicky, and we all know that Nintendo loves their gimmicks. But sometimes those gimmicks actually work out pretty well, at least in my opinion, like in Kirby Canvas Curse. Here's Kirby Canvas Curse from HAL and Nintendo. There are 4 Kirby games on the DS, and this one was the first, and it's probably my favorite. The gameplay takes place entirely on the bottom screen, which, as you know, is the touch screen. There are stats, maps, and other helpful information on the top screen. You control Kirby, well, except that you don't really. Instead, you use the stylus to tap him to nudge him in a direction. You can tap enemies to stun them so that Kirby can knock them out when he gets to them. If you fail to tap them before he touches them, you'll take damage. Sometimes you can gain an enemy's power-up, which 9 times out of 10 is a circular flame thingy. You touch Kirby to make him fire the flames. However, if you hit an untapped enemy, you'll lose this power-up. As you've noticed by now, you can also draw rainbow lines on the screen to guide Kirby. You don't have unlimited lines though, as they're governed by this gauge that lives on the top screen. Fortunately, it refills quickly. This one definitely takes a bit to get used to, but once you do, you'll be having tons of fun. The level design is fantastic, and the upper levels are going to make you think for a bit in order to get past some of the obstacles. Quick reactions are also helpful. The bonus stages are fun as you rapid tap Kirby to gain speed and then use a limited amount of rainbow lines to try to get him to go as far as you can. It's tougher than it looks. The visuals are nice, though the backgrounds seem a touch digitized or something. The music is mostly arrangements from past games, very little brand new stuff, but it's still good, you know, it's Kirby stuff. This is a great game that takes advantage of the DS in a good way. Next is Kirby Squeak Squad. Yeah, I might as well mention the other Kirby games really quick. This is a much more traditional Kirby game that you play with regular controls, except that the A button jumps and I don't like that. The touchscreen stores bubbles, which are items that you can use, and some of these can even be combined for a better power-up. If you like Kirby, then getting this one is a no-brainer. Then there's Kirby Superstar Ultra. This is a port of the Super NES game. Basically, it's a bunch of smaller games in one package. Once again, you jump with the A button. This one adds occasional touchscreen capabilities to it, but other than that, it's Kirby Superstar. Lastly is Kirby Mass Attack. This one came out in 2011, after the 3DS was launched. This goes back to being controlled entirely with the stylus, but it doesn't hit me the same way that Kirby Canvas Curse does. You kind of flick Kirby around now, and sometimes you can draw lines to get him to go somewhere. You soon control multiple Kirbys. In fact, it's a mass attack of Kirbys, hence the title. You flick them around, and the more you have, the more you can do. It almost reminds me of Pikmin in some ways. It's a good game, but probably my least favorite of the four. I like video golf, so here's True Swing Golf from T&E Soft, published by Nintendo. Naturally, this takes advantage of the touchscreen to do everything in the game, but I kind of like how it's handled. You simply pull your club back. The orange line is how much power you need to make it to the pin from where you are. The white line below that is the full power of the club. Then you draw a line up to the ball and it gets hit depending on how well you drew the line connecting to the ball. This makes it pretty easy to do some good shots. There are 15 courses to play on here, most of which you'll need to unlock, and they all have 18 holes. The game is played completely on the bottom screen, but the top one always shows you an exciting 3D view of what's going on to make it feel like you're really there. This is a good one to play on the go, and it's very easy to get the hang of. Presentation-wise, the game isn't anywhere near as exciting as Neo Turf Masters or Mario Golf or the like. I never did end up buying Mario Golf on the DS, probably because they never made one. Here's Thor God of Thunder from Sega and Way Forward. This is a 2D action game, basically a single-plane beat-em-up. Asgard is under attack and it's your job to guard its ass. You play as Thor, the god of weakness. Seriously, Thor is so incredibly weak in this game. It takes lots of hits to bring down even the most common of enemies. Is his mighty hammer actually a sponge? You have a few different moves you can do to help out. If your blue gauge is full past the little notch, you can touch the screen for a lightning bolt attack. Along the way, you collect runes which can help things out, but never during this game did I feel very strong. I guess it's kind of like trying to make a Superman video game. How do you take a character that's practically invincible and make it a challenging game? The answer here, apparently, is to make Thor deal less damage than a declawed kitten. Oh, and also to make his reach just a hair too short. The main thing that keeps me going are the graphics. There's some outstanding 2D pixel art here, and I love it. The animation is also extremely smooth, but that can sometimes affect gameplay as you can be unresponsive until the animation finishes up. But everything still looks fantastic. I was surprised by this one, and despite my extremely valid complaints, it's still better than I thought it would be when I saw that it was licensed from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Here's Retro Game Challenge from Exceed. Do you like retro games? Well, this game is like that, except challenging. You play as two kids with adult voices who play various cartridge games on their half Famicom, half Sega Mark III console.
Game on!
You complete various challenges throughout the games. There's also a free play mode where you can just play the games without the annoying kids with adult voices. There's a few different types of games on here, from racing, to Galaga style, or Star Soldier style, or even Final Fantasy style. The best game here is basically Ninja Gaiden style. I actually like this one quite a bit. Many of the games have Plus or Special or EX type of versions as well. Most of the games here are perhaps a bit too primitive for my taste, but if this looks fun for you, then maybe give it a go.
You missed it! Whoa! Oh, man! Huh?
Here's Warriorware Touched from Nintendo. The Warriorware titles are basically just compilations of microgames, and this one is no different. Well, except that you now use the DS's special features to play. Basically, you only have a few seconds to figure out what the hell you're looking at, figure out what the hell you need to do, and then do it and do it right. Your time is represented by the exciting burning wick at the bottom of the screen. Succeed and you move on. Fail and you lose a life. After a few successes, the game speeds up, meaning you have less time in each microgame. Eventually, you get to a boss stage. Beat it and you move on to more difficult levels. There are a bunch of different characters, each with their own set of microgames, while others have a mix of other characters' microgames. And there's a ton of different ones here, 180 in fact. That is quite a lot. Most of them are pretty humorous, and all of them are fun once you figure them out. A few of these will require you yelling or blowing into the microphone. The first time you see some of these microgames, you'll feel bewildered on what you need to do, but you'll eventually figure things out and recognize them instantly, making it much easier the next time. I haven't played this one in quite a while, so that's happening a lot for me here today. I just love the fast-paced energy of this one. The visuals are great and the audio is top-notch. This is an excellent evolution of the originals. You know, for the past half hour I've been sitting here or standing here or whatever the hell you think I'm doing, but I've been thinking that I haven't talked about Metroid Prime enough. So let's talk a little bit more about Metroid Prime. Wait, another Metroid Prime game? Kinda. This is Metroid Prime Pinball from Nintendo. If Sonic can roll up into a ball and get his own pinball game, why not Samus? And that's exactly what's happened here. Unlike Sonic Spinball though, there's no scrolling here at all. This might be one of the more enjoyable static board video pinball games that I've played. You have most of your standard pinball table features and the physics feel quite good. But it also has stuff that can only be done in video pinball, like creatures wandering around that you need to take out. Sometimes you can even unfold into non-ball Samus and start shooting things for a bit. It's all pretty crazy. It comes with the exciting DS Rumble Pack, which is inserted into the Game Boy Advance slot on the bottom of the unit. You can feel it a little bit when you play, but it's relatively minor. You can also do wireless multiplayer, up to 8 people with a single card, which is pretty cool. And finally, the sound design and the music here are both top-notch.
Level 1.
Here's Super Princess Peach from Nintendo. This one was developed by Tosei. Finally, Peach gets her very own game. You'd expect this one to be super easy because it must be for girls, right? Well, in many ways it is, but in some ways it's not. You have a life bar which can sustain several hits. You jump and can attack with your umbrella. What kinda sucks is that this is another game where you jump with the A button when it should be B instead. The gameplay happens on the top screen, but down below you have 4 different hearts which affect Peach's mood. Touching these hearts will result in her doing different things, like fire to make her mad, which can also burn wooden bridges, or the sad heart, which makes her cry gallons of water, which can grow plants. Wow, I hope she remembers to stay hydrated. The orange heart makes her happy and she can float in the air with joy as you hold the jump button. Lastly, the green heart can actually heal you. You can't just make her have these mood swings willy-nilly. You need some juice in the squiggly gauge. You can fill it up by collecting blue jewels or grabbing an enemy and absorbing them, kinda like Kirby. The stage design is pretty good, and it makes great use of these abilities. Not only that, but the coins you collect can actually be spent in a shop to grant new permanent abilities, like floating when you jump, just like you'd expect with Peach, or smashing down from a jump. You'll find yourself overcorrecting a lot when you jump though, as the controls here are a bit squirrely. The bosses aren't as simple as you might think, and they take more than 3 hits to defeat, which is almost unimaginable for Nintendo. But then again, this was actually made by Tosei. The graphics are gorgeous and full of color. The music fits the game, but beyond that, there's not much to say about it. I recommend trying this one, unless you think you're too manly or something. Trust me, you're not. Can't forget about the Castlevania games from Konami. I covered these in depth in my dedicated Castlevania episode, so I'll be fairly brief here. Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow came out first, and it's a direct sequel to Aria of Sorrow, which was the final Castlevania game on the Game Boy Advance. It plays similar to that, which of course means it's awesome. This one requires you to draw magic seals and whatnot on the screen from time to time, which I didn't feel added much to the game. You also need to use the touchscreen to break ice blocks and things of that nature. They really did try to cram some of the touchscreen stuff in here for better or for worse. I do love how the top screen is used to display an ever-present map of the game. Very helpful. Then we got Castlevania Portrait of Ruin. You can use the stylus to draw your name when you start, but other than that, this one doesn't require the touchscreen at all during gameplay, which is nice. I'm glad that they learned that just because it's there, you don't need to use the features of the touchscreen. You play as two characters, and you can switch between them at any time, just like a modern Ys game. You can also team up Lost Viking style to get past the incredibly devious traps that Dracula has set for you, that crafty bastard. This is another fantastic game that I highly recommend. The third and last game in the series on the DS is Castlevania Order of Ecclesia. This one has a map screen with lots of little areas to uncover and explore, but don't worry because there's a big old castle as well. You have a slingshot style of move to help you get around, but you do this with the R button, not the touchscreen. In fact, you don't even get to draw the name of your save slot anymore. I guess by this point in time, Konami felt that the touchscreen could go to hell. Cartridge memory was no longer an issue when this one came out, so now you have some full motion video and even some voiceover. All said and done, this is another great game in the series on the DS. But a lot of people were getting tired of these Castlevania games at the time. I sure wasn't. This is Legacy of Ys Books 1 and 2 from Atlus. That's kind of an odd title, but you can play both Ys 1 and 2 here, and you don't need to get past Ys 1 first before you play Ys 2 like you do on the TurboGrafx CD game. You can choose to play as normal controls, or you can choose to play with the stylus. I personally much prefer the normal controls. The gameplay takes place entirely on the top screen with normal controls, and entirely on the bottom screen if you choose to go with the stylus controls. The other screen has useful information like a map as well as your level, experience, and even hints on what you need to do next. Here, you press a button to swing your sword, which is a departure from the original games and something that I think a lot of people will appreciate. You can press the L or R shoulder buttons to choose if you walk faster or slower. You don't need to hold a button to move fast or slow. The game is slightly expanded over the originals with larger maps. These maps are drawn using primitive-looking 3D visuals, but the sprites are still, well, sprites. It's Ys, so you know the music is good, and a few of the tunes here put the DS sound hardware to good use, while others sound pretty weak if you're used to the music from the TurboGrafx CD. If you like action-adventure games, then this is a good one that'll give you maybe a couple dozen hours worth of gameplay. Here's The Legend of Zelda: Phantom Hourglass. I had no memory of this game despite owning it. That is, until I turned it on again, then I remembered. And the thing that popped into my mind immediately was the sailing. A girl is kidnapped and you need to rescue her. This one is presented with a Wind Waker graphics aesthetic. Back then, using cel-shaded graphics in a Zelda title was a bit controversial, but I kind of dig it, though of course it doesn't look as nice as the GameCube game. This is another one where you control the entire game with the stylus. That includes walking, fighting, everything. You can also write specific things on signs to unlock doors. Or you can write yourself notes on your map and things like that. Since it's based on Wind Waker, there's plenty of sailing, as I mentioned. You draw the route that you'd like to sail, and it's definitely not something that happens quickly. You fend off attacks as you sail, and sometimes you even get ambushed and have to fight it out. I don't really know how much I enjoyed this back in the day, but apparently I never bothered to finish it. Playing it here right now today, well, I can kind of take it or leave it. However, if you're a bigger fan of Zelda than I am, and I think most people are unless we're talking about Breath of the Wild, you'll probably love this. Here's Tingles Balloon Fight DS, which is a small game that was only available through Club Nintendo and only in Japan. I had to borrow this from Dave because of course he owns it. If you've played Balloon Fight before, then you know what to expect here, except now you play as Tingle and the visuals are a lot nicer. There's a balloon trip mode as well, so you can play a much better version of Flappy Bird long before Flappy Bird existed. If you like Balloon Fight, and I do, it's pretty fun. I also really appreciate how there's no blind spot between the screens. This is Mario and Luigi Partners in Time from Nintendo. This RPG is basically Super Mario meets Chrono Trigger. That's right, it's a time-traveling adventure. Evil aliens are attacking the Mushroom Kingdom throughout time. Oh, and a girl has been kidnapped and you need to rescue her. You control both Mario and Luigi at the same time, wandering around the various locales. You get into plenty of battles, and each character controls with different buttons. Obviously, it's very similar to the first Mario and Luigi title, just as you'd expect. Eventually, you'll team up with baby versions of yourselves, you know, because time travel. You all work together to solve small puzzles to advance through each area. You can even battle as a foursome, but it can get kind of tricky timing all of the different button presses to make it work. So instead, I just don't really worry about it. The graphics are, well, I'd say they're rather pleasant. The top screen generally serves as a map here, and there are only minimal touchscreen controls. The Rumble Pack is also supported. Overall, it's a good little RPG for your DS, if a touch repetitive at times.
Let's go. Okie
And there you go, that's the Nintendo DS. Now if you didn't see a game covered, it's because I don't own it, or I couldn't borrow it from someone, or maybe I just didn't like it. But like I said in the beginning, I really love the DS back in its time. But what do you think of the DS, and what are some of your favorite games? Let me know. In the meantime, thank you for watching GameSack. Okay, Nintendo DS commercial. Take one. Action! The brand new Nintendo BS. We put the BS in video games. Cut! Okay, it's the Nintendo DS, not the Nintendo BS. Alright, take two. Action! The brand new Nintendo BS. We put the BS in video games. Cut! It's DS. DS. Can you say D? D. Okay, now try S. S. Alright, I want you to try really hard and say those letters together. DS. DS. Fantastic job. Okay, take three. Action. The brand new Nintendo DS. Coming soon to a theater near you. Cut! It's a portable video game system, not a movie, you idiot. Try again. Take four. Action. Anytime now. Should we really be doing a Nintendo commercial in front of all these Sega games? It's fine. Hardcore Nintendo fans actually prefer Sega, so this works out well. And action. I mean, I'm wearing a Golden Axe t-shirt too, and Golden Axe, that's not a Nintendo game. Hey, let me worry about the details. I'm the smart one here, okay? Action! The brand new Nintendo DS, now with 16-bit blast processing. Cut! That's a Sega Genesis, you stupid moron! This is a commercial for the Nintendo DS. Why are you holding a Genesis? I thought you said Sega was a good thing. No, you bumbling fool! Your environment or shirt doesn't matter. What does matter is the product. That needs to be from Nintendo. Take 5, damn it! The brand new Nintendo DS, now with Mode 7. Cut! What the hell, man? Seriously, what the hell? Why are you mad? This product is from Nintendo. I swear, if someone lent you 1,000 brain cells, you'd still be in a deficit. It needs to be the portable Nintendo product. And no, not the Game Boy, and the Virtual Boy isn't portable. I know how you think. Okay, take 6, action. The brand new DS from Nintendo, now in 3D. Cut! That's the 3DS, you simpleton. That hasn't even been invented yet. This is 2004, and that won't come out until 2011. I've just about had it with your time-traveling shenanigans. Okay, this is gonna play DS games once they invent it. Listen, Nintendo is paying us $10 million to make this commercial, most of which we'll be pocketing, which is why we hired you for $8. So let's just get this done, and you can say that you made more than minimum wage today, okay? Take 7, action. The brand new Nintendo BS. We put the BS in video games.